Welcome back to the Cozy Corner.
And to our last episode of the year.
Oh yeah, it's the last week of the year too. Can you believe it?
Are you ready to say goodbye to 2020 and hello to 2021? Honestly, I can't believe it.
We know that it was a difficult Christmas for most of us, but we hope that you had a wonderful holiday.
And if you didn't listen to our Christmas episode yet, you definitely should. We're still here in the holiday spirit, and I personally love to soak it all in until the last minute, which is probably like mid-January. It is the most wonderful time of the year, isn't it?
It really is. Honestly, it's been like a joy to end 2020 with the holiday spirit. And now we're in the same week of New Year's Eve, which this is a time for reflection on the past year, setting new goals, intentions. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. But first, I want to hear all about your Christmas, Darlene. What happened and qué pasó?
My Christmas was super special this year. It was very different because all of my Christmases throughout my entire life have been with my family in Texas and the same traditions year after year. So this one was very different, spending it here in Guatemala. And last week, as I told you all about all the excitement from the garage sale that we had, since then we have been on the go, go, go up until Christmas. So on the day before Christmas Eve, so on the 23rd, Edwin and I finally did our Christmas shopping, which is where we bought like the Christmas gifts that we were giving to friends and his mom, and then also to each other. We like gave each other like 2 hours to like browse in the mall to look for a Christmas gift. So that was our Wednesday, the day before Christmas Eve, but also we hadn't bought our turkey. Here in Guatemala, it's a tradition to eat turkey on Christmas because they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. So we had another turkey for Christmas. But the crazy thing was is that in all of the supermarkets, there were no turkeys. And we were like, what? And Edwin was saying that in his past years of celebrating Christmas here, he has always bought the turkey within the week of Christmas, and that has never happened to them where there was no turkey to be found. So we were on the search. They sent us to this place that only sells turkeys. We got there and the line was long, and it took us a while to park. And when we finally parked, the people told us that there were no more turkeys. So we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But then the guy said, but we do have live turkeys. So we bought a live turkey the day before Christmas Eve. Edwin's mom knows somebody that was able to like kill the turkey, get it ready for us and everything. I was kind of sad, like having a live turkey in the back of my car, knowing that I was going to eat that turkey the next day.
It's very like old school, old world. But
Exactly. I mean, those are the kinds of things that happen living in Guatemala. I'm sure living in any other like foreign country similar to Guatemala, you could experience the same thing. But anyway, it's definitely a memory that we will never forget, that we had a live turkey in the back of our car that we were going to eat the next day. So that was our excitement that happened on the day before Christmas Eve. But then Christmas Eve was more movement and more excitement because we woke up, we had our car filled with toys. They were donations that we had gotten because we wanted to go to remote villages within the mountains to give these kids their Christmas toys. Along the highway, there's a tradition for kids to come out from their villages and wait and wave, and people driving by will give them money or give them non-perishable foods and toys during this time of year. But there are a lot of children that are so far from the main roads that they don't have that same opportunity. So our goal for this year was to gather all these toys and drive in the mountains and in search for children that needed it. So we gave them non-perishable foods when we gave them the toys that were donated to us. It was super special. We had a friend that was from the community so that he was able to speak to them, because a lot of the people that live in these areas, they don't speak, well, they speak Spanish, but they are more comfortable with their native language, with their mother tongue, which is typically Mayan, a Mayan language, a Mayan dialect. So we had a friend that spoke the language that came with us, just in case there were people that couldn't understand Spanish. So that was a really special morning. We were doing that from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It was like a full day of work, practically. We got back home around 5:30. We showered, and then we went to church. So with all of this, you're thinking, okay, when is the turkey going to be made? Another tradition that happens in Guatemala is you stay up until midnight, and that is like the big celebration. It's kind of like New Year's Eve, but in Christmas Eve you stay up until midnight, and then all of the fireworks start happening, and after that you sit down with your family and you eat your meal
At midnight.
at midnight. Yeah, so that's what we did. We got back home from mass and we started cooking. Edwin and I straight to the kitchen. He started preparing the turkey. I was working on the ponche, which is, I think I mentioned it in the last podcast, I'm not sure, but it's a drink filled with a lot of fruits and raisins and different ingredients, sugar and what else? Yeah, well, things like that. And it becomes a drink. And you drink it, and then you get a spoon and you eat the fruit. It's really good. So I was preparing that and all the sides while he was doing the turkey. Oh, man, it was just nonstop. And his mom actually had gone back to her house. And she had told us that she didn't want to come to have the dinner with, not that she didn't want to be with us, but she was feeling very sad because it's the first year without Edwin's dad here during Christmas time. So in that moment, we went to her house and we spent that time with her. We consoled her. We consoled each other because, of course, for Edwin too, it's his first time without his dad during the holidays. So it was a special evening that we spent. Whenever Edwin and I got back home, we ate a little bit of the turkey, a little bit of the mashed potatoes that I cooked, some bread, and then the ponche. But it was this very, very special Christmas Eve that we spent. And then here in Guatemala, the next day is just kind of like a day to relax. So that's what we did in the morning on Christmas Eve. We woke up, I called my family, because it was my first time without my family on Christmas Day. So I called them, we chatted, and then after that, Edwin and I watched Elf, which is funny because that's a gift that I gave him. I gave him the movie Elf, and he was like, was this gift for you or was it for me? Because I love that movie, and he's like, he likes it, but it's not like his favorite movie. Anyway, so we watched Elf, and then we had some family come over. Just his sister had come over, and we ate the turkey again. We put, what did we do? We put the fire in their chimney for the very first time. That was fun. And because it was cold, so everyone was in the living room with the fire. We roasted some marshmallows. We watched some Christmas movies. We also broke a piñata. It was just a very special and very different Christmas for me, but very, very beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. A Christmas to remember, something very different. But what about you, Gabby? How was your Christmas? What did you do? ¿Qué pasó?
It was good. Wow, I honestly I didn't recognize, or I guess realize, yeah, how for Edwin without his dad, and on top of that, you without your family, like I know that we, obviously talked about this. I knew you were going to be in Guatemala, but yeah, that's like I'm really happy that y'all had each other and like y'all supported each other through that and y'all made it special. We had a really relaxed Christmas here at the house. Me and Brett hosted Christmas. His mom came over Christmas Eve. So did my mom and my mom's boyfriend. And my sister and her husband were going to come over, but due to COVID reasons, I just think it was like best to like be socially distant. You know, they're out of state and everything. But I think I said last episode, like how I think one of my updates was like, I was noticing like I was getting a little bit too stressed with the holidays. And so like I was trying to relax more. And I didn't know if I wanted to like say it in this episode, but I think since I've been to the doctor about it, I feel like so many people probably have had maybe similar symptoms. So I just wanted to kind of like let it be known. So if people out there like are having, you know, kind of signs of like anxiety and stress during the holidays, on top of it being COVID and a lot of things being different, know that you're not alone because I mean, it got really bad to the point where I had to go to the doctor and like get checked out because for me, my symptoms were random shakiness and like to some people you can get tingly in your fingers and that's all just stress related and it doesn't mean you have, you know, diagnosed a disorder. It's just like purely being overwhelmed and it doesn't have to be like in the conscious mind because that's how I felt. Like I was like telling my doctor, I'm totally fine. Like I'm not stressed about anything. I'm excited if anything. But he was like, well, your body's reacting to, you know, deep down subconscious, like, you know, for me, like I got my seasonal job during the time of me getting really excited about the holidays. And, you know, with COVID, I think just being a blanket, it's like we have to do things differently. You know, you couldn't be home, you know, I can't have my normal, like my sister, I've always spent the holidays with my sister. So it's like definitely something I just wanted to share because I'm currently, you know, on the up and up. I got prescribed some medicine just to kind of like, yeah, get me through the holidays basically. And so if anybody out there is like in the dark and quiet about it, I definitely think you should like reach out for help because it's not a fun place to be. And it was my first time ever experiencing something like that. So, and I know I talked about it with you, Darlene, and like you and Edwin with the garage sale, y'all kind of noticed like physically your body will react to stress. And so, yeah, just take time for yourself the rest of the holiday season, people. So really Christmas was all about like really staying chill. You know, I think I wanted to do maybe more things, more activities, but Brett was like trying to just support me and like relaxing. You don't need to do everything, Gabby. It's, you know, I think because it's like my first time hosting as like an adult. So I wanted it to be perfect. But then at the same time, perfect is just a construct and it's not. Just having the family over was really nice and the food was good. Brett did an amazing job cooking food and we watched movies and that's really like all in all, it was like, wow, me overthinking it as usual. It was really nice. This is, yeah, the week of New Year's, Brett's last week. So we're just trying to kind of get some a little bit of house stuff done and yeah, relax. I know like me and you both are just like, we just want to chill, like be horizontal for a little bit because yeah, we've both been busy in so many different ways, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think, well, I was telling Gabby that the day after Christmas, we, since his sister had spent the night, her and her husband had slept upstairs in the living room by the TV, by the fireplace, and we had like a pallet out for them to sleep on. And so when they left, Edwin and I literally just crawled right into the little bed and stayed there all day watching Netflix. Really, it was watching Betty La Fea on Netflix all day long. So right by the Christmas tree. So we finally recuperated our busyness and we had that one day of just chilling. It was so nice. And now we're able to get back into our normal routines before, again, this weekend is going to be a little bit more crazy with more celebrations, but it's always good to take a break for yourselves as well.
For sure. And moving into our main topic on taking breaks and things like that, I think taking time to reflect on the past year is something everyone's probably doing. I see people doing it on social media in funny ways and serious ways. There's so many different avenues to do that, but we're going to be reflecting on our 2020 and what we've learned. And I can go first. In our script, guys, Darlene has like a novel, and I have literally a notepad worth of stuff. So hopefully.
Oh my God.
No, but that's like literally, this is it. You're the writer. Clearly, I'm like little bullet points, and you're like, wow. I'm looking at yours. I'm like, wow, she has cool stuff.
I was really reflecting.
Oh, I love it. That's so good. See, I've never been good at journaling and stuff like that, which that's okay. It's just something I need to work on. But for me, starting from the beginning of 2020, I celebrated 2020 NYE in Miami, Florida with my good friends. I did, gosh, so many things that night, which is crazy. But the first thing that I intentionally, was getting ready for was moving back to Texas, which was a huge, I can't reiterate this enough, like the biggest thing I've done in my life, like in terms of a move, in terms of leaving a life behind. Like, it's not like when I left Texas in high school to go to college, it was kind of narrated and that's just something academic, but this was something going back to Texas, to the unknown, to without a job, with like all the emotions of what are people going to think. So that was like a big learning thing, but I think it's obviously turned out for the best. And I'm so happy I listened to my gut and I had those conversations with my friends that were like, it's kind of like, I don't know, there were so many signs that I needed to get back to Texas. And so that was my first kind of reflection. Then while I was here, obviously opening my heart and letting go of fear to beginning a relationship with Brett and getting serious with that. I think being single most of my like adulthood in my 20s, I never seriously dated. I think there's like two ways. There's one way where it's, people in their 20s, they dated a lot. Like I have friends who have just dated. I just kind of never got that experience. Maybe I didn't open myself up to opportunity like that because, I come from a broken home. That sounds so dramatic, but I come from this, what is love? Who deserves love type of thing. And I think when I met Brett, it was like, I was ready. And I think it was the right time to open myself up to that. So that was a big learning experience. And it's obviously, I love him so much now. And we're about to celebrate our 1-year anniversary in February. So very, very happy about that. And then another like adulting financially thing I did was buying a home. And I think the biggest thing I learned with that is, people that love me, that just observe me, they're going to have their opinion on what I do with my money, with my investments, with how I live my life in that way. And if it makes sense to me and I know that I can do it, then I just need to listen to my own heart, my own gut, my own mind, because people, I could have easily gotten an apartment, done so many other options if I moved back here, but I'm really happy that I got through with support of so many people, buying my house. I'm now settled into my home with Brett, and I'm still really happy. I genuinely, I'm such an overthinker. Like every night before bed, like, excuse me, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Right? Like we're 20 years old in our 20s, not 20 years old, we're 27, 28, but we're in our 20s in a pandemic. Like what is happening? Right? So that's what I think about. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a homeowner. What does that mean? But it's like, it just means you're a homeowner and this is like a great opportunity. I feel blessed. I feel all these things. So there's no point in overthinking it. That's another thing I need to learn is like, I need to stop overthinking things. Okay. And then see, this is why I need to write down things because I get off tangent. Okay. Wait, are you on mute? Because I can't hear you laughing.
Oh no.
I'm like, I mean, I know you were laughing with me, but I'm like, wow, Darlene, like people are gonna be like, wow, Darlene's not laughing.
Sorry, it's because I had to blow my nose and I didn't want to have that sound on the podcast. So I forgot to unmute myself. But yes, I'm laughing over here.
Guys, she was laughing at me when I was laughing. Don't worry. And then, okay. So overall, what I've been saying basically out of my spiel of reflection is there has been an obvious long pause, the pandemic. Nobody expected it. And I think for me, being a 27-year-old, new opportunities, new transitions, an overthinker to the max, a creative. I just really had to be patient. I learned a lot of patience this year of like reflecting. As I'm reflecting on 2020, I realized I have learned to reflect and like accept what is and what is not. And that kind of goes with like me and Darlene starting this podcast. It was made and it has blossomed because of the long pause, which I'm so grateful for this podcast. It has given me routine, it's given me inspiration, and like obviously a deeper friendship with Darlene in 2020 that I don't think we would have had, you know? So that's, and you know, yeah, I'm finishing 2020 with just, I feel really blessed, really grateful, and just in a new place completely. So I'm very happy.
I say totally 100% agree with you on that this podcast has brought us closer. We've been able to keep up with each other more often, which has been so fun. And now all of our friends and family are able to keep up with us a little bit more. Yesterday, this year I have made friends online, which is so strange. I had never done that before. But I think it's because of the pandemic that groups were being made, like little Bible studies that I joined, just from like random people from the internet. And yesterday, or during Christmas time, my friends, this new group of friends that I had met online, they said Merry Christmas, and I hadn't been responding just because I had been so busy. So finally yesterday I responded and I was saying Merry Christmas to them, telling them a little bit how my Christmas was very different but very, very special. And I was like, well, we need to catch up because it's been too long. And then one of the girls was like, it's so funny. I don't feel like I need to catch up with you because I listen to your podcast every week. I'm like, oh, how special. So Michelle, thanks for listening to the podcast.
Thanks, Michelle. Hey, girl.
But yeah, so it's funny how this medium that we're using helps us as friends, but it also helps our friends and family that don't talk to us as much.
100%. So what about you and reflecting on 2020?
Okay, so going into my reflection of 2020, 2020 is definitely a year to remember. This is something in history that people are going to be talking about for years. And I kind of wanted to do my reflection. I listened to this podcast that's called What's Next by Michelle Reed, and she kind of did like a year in review, like her highs and her lows. So I kind of wanted to piggyback off of that and kind of use her idea. So I just kind of like went through each month, not in so much detail, but I thought about each month and if there were any highs or lows from that month. So I kind of want to just go through that. So in January 2020, I had my first challenge, which was being a homeroom teacher to third grade at my school. And something that everyone should know is that at my school, we're working with kids that come from very difficult backgrounds, that come from areas that they don't have the opportunity to study. Either they don't have, their family doesn't have the money, or the school is so far that they cannot travel to the school. So they come to our school on scholarship. And so, but they start in third grade at our school. So the kids in third grade, they come from a background of absolutely no English. So that was probably why it was the biggest challenge, because being their homeroom teacher, the first teacher that they meet, the one that's with them every single morning, and all these other things, it was difficult for me because I had to use my Spanish, which I'm not saying that using my Spanish is difficult, but trying to express yourself in a different language is very difficult. And so I wanted to be that role model for these kids that are coming, that are leaving their, first of all, they're leaving their families for the very first time at 8 years old, because they come from their small villages to the city to live at our school. Well, they live in houses around the school. And so I wanted to be that role model for them. So that was a huge challenge for me, because some of them don't even speak Spanish at home. They speak their Mayan languages.
Mm.
So that was a challenge, but it was such a beautiful challenge, and I'm very happy that my principal at my school gave me that reto, which is challenge in Spanish. Sorry, I have to cough. Maybe you can like cut that out. February, we had our first celebration. Edwin and I, no, not Edwin and I. Well, last year, one of our students from our school, because Edwin teaches at the same school as me, he teaches at the high school, and one of his students lost his home with a fire, and they lost every single thing that was in their house. And in their house, there were about 10 people that lived there. So that was like him and his mom and his brother and sister, and then like his aunts and cousins and uncles. They were all living in this one house that had burnt down last year. So we started a fundraiser. We fundraised some money, and finally in February we were able to help them build their store. They had a little tienda inside their house that they were able to sell, like, snacks and drinks to people in their neighborhood. So when they had lost everything, they didn't have an income anymore. So Edwin and I, we used the money that was fundraised to buy them refrigerators and to buy them all the goodies for the store. So in February, we were finally able to help them with that and get them back on their feet. And then March comes around, and everyone knows what happened in March. I feel like the whole world just paused. And exactly what Gabby said, in the moment of the pandemic, it was a time for us to just stop. We stopped not because we wanted to, but because we had to. Mm-hmm. So same with me. I had to learn how to use my time wisely, how to just sit down and pause and think about myself, think about the needs that I needed. Because if you're not taking care of yourself first, how are you going to be taking care of other people? And as a teacher, that's something that I'm always thinking about. How can I be a better person or a better teacher so that my kids can learn not only English from me, but also life skills or different life lessons that I have learned myself that I could teach my students. So that is kind of the first thing that I've learned this year, is just to kind of sit down and pause, but also go with the flow, because things are going to happen that you do not expect. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned in our COVID episode, in April, we lost my father-in-law. He got sick at the beginning of April, and he was in the hospital for 2 weeks on a ventilator. And after those 2 weeks, he had lost his life to COVID. He was the 8th person in Guatemala to lose their life to COVID. So that was a very challenging, a very big low for this year. That in the moment during this holiday season, it has brought us back those feelings of his loss. But I am so proud of my husband, because he's always thinking of how his dad wouldn't want us to be sad or crying or moaning in these times, especially because in Christmas it's Jesus's birthday. So I'm so proud of my husband and how much he has grown too with the idea of losing his father. So I just wanted to mention that was a big low of this year. But coming from that low, something that I did learn is material things are just that, material. And I think that that's something that I have learned since I moved to Guatemala, not just this year, but something that I've learned. But I wanted to mention it here because it's something that we learned here as a family once my father-in-law passed away, because he was living on his own, and it was just so insane, so crazy, that after he had passed, of course, all of those things stayed. And it's just really reflective to think that, why do we care so much about the things here on earth when in the end they stay here? And in the end, when we're with God in paradise or whatever you believe in after life, that the things that we have here on earth, the materials, are not important. What's important is your relationship with your family, with your friends, the way that you treat others.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that I was able to reflect more on this year after, well, not just me and my husband and my mother-in-law, that we were able to reflect on after my father-in-law had passed. So after this, May had come around, and this is when I consider this a high, is when I started my fitness journey with Tone It Up, because I had realized that I had all this time on my hands. I needed to take care of myself a little bit better, so I started working out again, which that is so fun. I love it, and I'm so thankful for the time that I have now to do that, because as we had mentioned in our other episodes, especially starting a health journey, taking care of your body should be a priority. And so moving my body has been really great and a big high. And hold on. And this is when I also learned the second thing this year was how to pray and read my Bible, which that sounds kind of crazy because it's easy. I mean, you learn how to pray, quote unquote, when you're young, when you're growing up. But I think that during this time I was able to, like I had mentioned, spend that time for myself and also spend more time with God. And what really helped me, honestly, was this book that I read that's called Searching for and Maintaining Peace. And of course, this year, with the isolation, with the quarantine, being at home, really, really messed with my mental health. And I'm sure messed with many other people's mental health as well. And so spending that time by myself and with God and in prayer really opened my mind to show me that peace that I was searching for. And what I learned is that the only person and the only thing that can give you peace is God. So I have this story that when I really felt the peace from God just by asking him in prayer, he answered it almost immediately. There was a time in May when, so I was a teacher or I am a teacher for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. But at my school, at the elementary school, it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. So all of the teachers of 6th grade, they had the opportunity to do video chats with their 6th graders. And I felt the biggest envy in my heart. I was so jealous because they got to see their kids every week, have a video chat. And I was so sad because I hadn't seen mine for more than 2 months at this time. So I was super jealous and I wanted to cry, honestly. It sounds so cheesy and so ridiculous that I was crying because I couldn't see my students, but it is an honest reality. It is how I honestly felt. And so what I did that morning, I sat down and I just asked God for the peace in my heart so that I didn't feel that way. And almost immediately, he lifted that burden off of me, that jealousy out of my heart, and I was able to be at peace with the idea that I couldn't see my students like the other teachers could. So that's just a little excerpt, a little piece of how I learned that that if you pray to God, he does answer your prayers. And maybe it won't be as quickly as I had experienced in that moment, which of course, all of my other prayers, they do not happen like that, but just something that I learned. Going into the summertime, June and July, I was just getting into the groove of working from home, making online videos, and making videos for my online classes. They weren't really online. We were just sending the worksheets and sending the videos to our kids. But also something really exciting during these months, Gabby and I started planning our podcast. So that was a big high for the year, like she had already mentioned. We worked on, we kept meeting each other, planning on what we wanted for this podcast. And so that was fun. And August, September, October, we started, or we didn't start the podcast. Well, what is it? We launched it. Thank you. We launched the podcast, and we have gotten so much great feedback from our friends and from our family. So again, we want to thank everyone for supporting us in this project that we put together this year, which is one of the biggest highs. But in these last months of the year, one other thing that has been part of our journey of 2020 is Edwin and I have been working nonstop on a project that we're starting. And also in these months is like planning our future, trying to figure out what we're going to do next. It hasn't been easy. And this is the last thing that I've learned this year, is that God's plans are better than ours. Another story that I want to share is when I was feeling worried about our future, and particularly about having kids, which is something that we're currently working on, we're currently planning, I told Edwin that I was feeling worried about it. Like, I feel like that we have to be prepared, that we have to have the right amount of money or income, we have to be stable. And all of those things, I feel like that we're not ready. And of course, everyone always tells you you're never going to be ready for kids, which I know that that's true, but it's just natural feelings that you have, natural worries. So one thing that Edwin told me in that moment, he said, "So you don't trust in God?" And that really hit me, because I was like, wow, he's so true, because if I'm feeling worried like this, that's showing God that I don't trust in him. And so because of those doubts and those worries, that showed that I wasn't trusting. But like in Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, he will support you." Or in the very famous Bible verse is Proverbs 3:5 and 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." So it is a journey. Another thing that I'm saying, a journey, right? Our favorite word, Gabby.
Yes.
Journey.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it is a journey that we're constantly living, and something that I constantly am telling myself is, okay, Darlene, you need to be at peace. You need to trust in God, because he has my life already planned out ahead of me. So that's the last thing that I learned this year. I'm still trying to be at peace with what's to come, with the future. But we have a whole year ahead of us to make our new goals and to make our new dreams happen. It's just a matter, and it comes from us to give that work. And so 2020 has definitely been a different year. It's been challenging, but it's been a blessing too, with all the great things that had come with it.
So many blessings. And I love what you had to say about how most of what like you learned is like through your religion. And I think that's so beautiful, and like how that supports you and your mindset. I think it's really awesome. So thank you for sharing that. But moving on to the next year to come, the future and New Year's Eve, what type of traditions are you like? What is it? Well, I guess traditions do.
What traditions did I have I done in my years?
Oh my God, I couldn't find the words. Yes, and what are you wanting to like do new? Do new? Oh my gosh, why can't I
For
speak?
New Year's Eve?
Sad.
Okay, so my New Year's Eve traditions all throughout my life have just been, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, I remember we would always go to my Aunt Lisa's house, and we would have a New Year's Eve party at her house, with food and drinks. But I was a kid, so I didn't drink alcohol. With soda. No, but when midnight came, it was so fun. Well, we always watched, what is it, like New York, New Year's Eve, whatever they
Oh
had on
yes, the
TV.
ball drop.
Yeah, we always watched that. And so when it was midnight, because it was always an hour ahead of us, so we would watch that. But when it was midnight for us, my aunt had like a big bag filled with balloons and confetti that when midnight came, they would just pull the string and all of the balloons and confetti would fall down. And she had carpet. So it was just like piled with all this confetti in her house. So much fun though. So much fun. Those are my like childhood traditions. But then when I got older, like in high school, I started going to my friend's house. They had New Year's Eve parties. And then after high school, it was just random, like with my family at home or something more simple like that. But ever since I got married, Edwin's family always went to the beach, or they always go to the beach for New Year's Eve. So since I've been married the past 4 years, I've been going to the beach for New Year's Eve, and that's actually what we're going to be doing. What's today? Today's Monday. So on Thursday, in 3 days, we're going to the beach to invite the new year into our hands, invite the New Year's on in the ocean.
That is so peaceful, but like fun too, I'm sure, depending on what the environment's like. That's so nice.
I'm excited, and we're renting a house this year, uh, just because of COVID. We didn't really want to be surrounded by so many people, so we rented a house, and it's right off the beach. Well, I don't know if it's right off the beach, but it's near the beach and has a pool, so we'll have like our own little celebration as a family.
Love that.
What about you? What are some traditions that you had, or like what are
Yeah,
you looking
so
forward to?
I feel like my childhood slash like I feel like I've always spent it with my family growing up, like childhood to like actually no, that's a lie. So when my parents were together, it was my parents' anniversary. So I'd always spend it with my Nana and Pa at the San Antonio Marriott and like watch the
Cool.
fireworks. That's like childhood. But with my mom's side of the family, when we spend it together, we would okay, so there's a few things, and I don't want to say specifically it's a cultural thing, but I think it is with the grapes. Because, yeah, wait, because it is, right? Because in Guatemala, they do it too.
Guatemala does it, but I have
It's
never
like
done it. So
I don't know. We did it. So you basically like eat 12 grapes and you make wishes on each of the grapes. And it's like um, to provide a fruitful 20, or not a 2021, but to provide a fruitful next year for you. And then, we'd always have like illegal fireworks in the neighborhood and stuff, but that's like that. Well, not everyone, but people that are willing to take
illegal. You were doing illegal things.
illegal.
Gabby.
Do not listen to me, kids. But everything was, what is it? Everything was parental advised. They just were
Yeah.
crazy. But a big tradition that we did, and that I still kind of, I think, I mean, well, I didn't do it the past few years because I've been not with my family, but my grandmother would give us all bags, suitcases, backpacks, even if it was our own, she would like give us these bags. And then she'd be like, okay, in the new year, where do you want to go? Where does it what to take you? Oh, sorry, I'm yawning. Time is it? It is too late to be yawning. It's 11:30. But so then like we're kids or like teenagers, and we're like, okay, wait, where are we going? And she'd be like, okay, that's north, that's south, that's west, and be like, okay, I'm going to Paris, or we'd always pick somewhere like that we definitely weren't going, but it was just fun to think about. I think one year, maybe I was in like undergrad, I was like, I'm going to Hollywood, that's where I'm going to do my career. So, you walk down the street until, basically it's like, okay, come back to the house, and it's kind of a fun thing. I think that's my mom said that she did that growing up with them too, but it was always such a fun little thing to do. It's kind of like quirky, but
I love it.
let me know if anybody's like in their family has done that, because that would be cool. Let us know on the IG. But
I
yeah,
want to steal that tradition. I love it.
yeah,
Maybe when I have kids, I'm gonna do that with them.
yeah, for sure. No, I remember doing it also like a couple years as like a kid, and that was just always so fun. But I think it's funny. So this year we're keeping it super low key, just me and Brett here at the house. But I was telling him it's so funny. The past maybe three, which is a lot, the past three adult New Year's Eves, I spent like clubbing, like, staying up like all night and being, I was in Miami, so it was a specific type of environment. But um, I'm excited to just kind of like create something new just for this year. I mean, I don't know if I can't say like I just want to be with Brett all the time only on New Year's Eve. Love you, Brett. But, because we have Austin, we have beautiful places to go here in Texas to celebrate. But yeah, this year, we're like you guys. We just want to keep it like socially distant and just like be grateful for the new year coming in. I wish we had a beach. See, that's the thing. It's like, oh, the beach is just so peaceful. I'm really happy that you guys are doing that. But yeah, we'll just be home. And yeah, we'll definitely still continue the grapes, because I think that's always just like a fun thing that reminds me of my family.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's our traditions and what we're doing.
And what about Brett? What does he normally do?
Well, it's so crazy. He doesn't come from a super big family like me and you. And he said, and obviously, so he's like 41. And I think being a bachelor the past like almost decade or whatever, he was like, honestly, it's been kind of boring, like his hasn't really done much. So he said that he grew up on a farm, or not a farm. Oh my God, he's gonna be like, Gabby, you do not know anything. He grew up where like his family had a lot of land, like he's very country, right? So they did big fireworks and stuff like that. And like in the neighborhood, him and my cousin, who are their best friends, they did, fireworks. So I guess like, pretty normal American, like, music,
Yeah.
but he didn't really say anything specific. So we're
Okay.
excited to like build something, new in the coming years.
Yeah, that's awesome because I think coming together with somebody, it's fun to bring those traditions. I was talking to Edwin because Christmas here is so different than Christmas in the US or
Wow.
like my own tradition. So I was asking Edwin, what are we gonna do when we have kids? Like how are we gonna celebrate Christmas? And he was like, well, wherever we are, we're just gonna celebrate that way. If we're in the US, we're gonna celebrate that way. If we're in Guatemala, we're gonna celebrate
Yeah,
this
and
way.
that'll be normal for them,
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, duh. Because we're not gonna be in the US celebrating doing fireworks at midnight.
Yeah.
And here we're not going to be going to sleep at 10 p.m. like I normally would as a kid.
And like,
When
yeah,
there's
sleeping through.
fireworks.
Yeah.
So so it's fun to bring those traditions
Yeah.
together. So every time around this year, around New Year's, every time around this year, that doesn't make sense. Every year around New Year's, there is this expectation for people to look forward and think about their new years, their goals, their expectations, their challenges, and something so popular, their resolutions. So Gabby, did you ever make resolutions?
100%. And I like roll my eyes because I'm like, they were resolutions. If you listen to our um, relationship with food, relationship with body, and all that stuff, I made resolutions always considering a bad diet habit, or I mean, wait, that didn't sound right. I would always make resolutions to support like diet culture. So it was like, I'm gonna try to not have bread for so many days out of the week, or, you know, and like I would do that as like a kid, like I'm not going to have gummy bears, or I'm not going to, I remember it being like things like that, which is kind of like, then it kind of came into like, okay, I'm going to lose, which is very popular for people. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to do that. And I roll my eyes just because I think it's so not, it's shouldn't be that you shouldn't start off your year like that. And, you know, people can disagree, which is fine. But for me, I did. And I'd never committed to any of that because I'm human, and it just wasn't something that gave me joy to do consistently. What about you?
Yeah, I think I made New Year's resolutions once in my life, maybe twice, and they both times only lasted 1 week,
Yeah.
which is so sad. I personally don't think that resolutions are dumb, but I think it's just too much to ask yourself for an entire year. Okay, I'm going to write these resolutions, and this is going to be for 2021. I think that we need to take everything one step at a time, making.
Hey, darling, it's a journey. It is a journey, guys.
Journey, guys. You don't need to worry about thinking about the entire year, 365 days ahead of you. So I think you have to take, like I said, take things one step at a time, make your resolutions or your goals more tangible. And Gabby and I have come up with a list of New Year's resolution alternatives.
So the first one that I'm really, oh my God, I'm so excited about is, so a thing you can do is to create a bucket list for the year. You know, like a bucket list can be trying ceviche, or I want to have a family photo shoot. You know, like you don't have to put a date to it. Just like see if you do the checklist. And it is funny because when we first started doing our podcast, I found a bucket list, a senior bucket list of Darlene and I that we created when we were seniors in high school back in 2011. And I wanted to read off our bucket list because I thought it'd be funny. And hey, you might want to add some of these things to your bucket list. Okay, our bucket list, it's really, I think it just totally describes who we were in that moment. Number one.
I'm so excited.
You haven't even heard it, I don't think, or I don't think you read it. Okay.
Whoa.
Number one, watch Paranormal Activity, because I think we were both like really scared, but we like wanted to commit to doing that. I have seen it since. Have you seen it since?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've seen, I think, all three of them.
I think we also wanted to be like film study majors because we were like, watch classic 80 movies. 80 movies. Which I guess I can say I have since senior year. I've watched classic movies.
Same.
Oh my God, this is definitely probably you. Add pretzels to cookie dough and bake it.
I have never done that.
I've personally never done that either. So that's still, you know, guys, it's a bucket list. It's okay if you don't do it. We still haven't done some of these things since.
What? It's been almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. Make a funny video, which, okay, please, we've done that. Go bike riding. Have we gone bike riding together? I don't think we have.
I don't remember.
For a little bit, and then I like forgot to air up the tire. Add strawberries to s'mores.
That doesn't sound good to me.
It doesn't sound good, but why did we put it in our bucket list? It seems
maybe because of you. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because like then it might have been. Heart-shaped tan tattoo. Okay, I remember when this was like all the Ritz. You get a like sticker that's heart-shaped, you go lay out and you take off the sticker and it's like a tan tattoo. That's so funny.
I'm so doing that when we go to the beach this week.
Do it. Well, I have a real tattoo and I'm not going to do a heart-shaped tattoo, but you should take a picture and that'll be so cute.
I'll do it.
I have hashtag skin cancer, so I'm not going to do that. Just kidding. Well, not kidding. I do have skin cancer. Okay. Water balloon fight. Love. I personally would still do a water balloon fight.
Same.
Volunteer somewhere. You have taken that for the both of us. You have volunteered everywhere, and I think that's awesome. Which I need to do. Because I've been wanting to do it. Have a sushi date. Did not do that. I didn't try sushi until undergrad, so we definitely did not do that. Or I didn't do that in high school. Sent a care package. That's so interesting. Why would, maybe we were doing this, send a care package. Why would we send a care package? Well, maybe when we went to college.
Maybe, or maybe to somebody else, or to each other when we were both in New Braunfels. Who knows?
Yes, pillow painting. That seems, yeah, like something you would do as like, oh, that's so funny. Some of these things. It's weird because I don't have any memory of thinking about doing this.
I bet you we got them off the internet or something.
Maybe. But this next one is very specific. Nightmare on Grayson. So this must have been done before Halloween because Nightmare on Grayson is Halloween in San Antonio, this haunted house.
We never did that.
I did it with Emily Jones senior year. I remember that specifically. I wonder why you didn't do it with us.
You didn't invite me.
You. Pedicures. We got pedicures on here. I feel like we've done pedicures together.
Probably. If not, let's do it when I get to Texas.
Perfect. Concert. That's a negative. We've never been to a concert together. Other than band. That doesn't count. Friendship bracelets. Make jewelry is kind of the next one, but I feel like that's the same thing. So yeah. We're going to do all that. And then, oh my gosh, this last one, go to Breaking Dawn premiere. I'm dead. Oh my gosh. Honestly, I mean, I do love the Twilight Saga series, so that does make sense that we would love it.
Oh my goodness.
2011.
Those are great.
So that was our bucket list. So if you want to, add any of those to your 2021 bucket list, go right ahead, because we clearly still are on this bucket list 10 years later. Anyways, that's the first NYE alternative to resolutions. Darlene, what's another one that's good?
The second one that we came up with is follow a monthly 30-day challenge. As I mentioned before, taking it one step at a time is a lot easier, at least for me. And if we set resolutions by month, you can change and grow month by month. For example, this didn't work this month, so next month I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And not feel so overwhelmed thinking about an entire year ahead. And even if 1 month is too much, maybe you can try weekly challenges or 21-day challenges. They say that it takes 21 days to make a habit, so that could be a good start if you want to change your habits, if you want to bring on a new habit. If you do it for 21 days, it should stick, or so they say.
Yeah, I feel like that one's really good for like people that want to be goal oriented. So it's like still a goal like a resolution would be, but it's a little bit more tangible with the timeline. That's awesome. The last one that we actually got this from, I don't know, BuzzFeed or something. That's kind of what our resources were for this fun one, but I really like it. And we both were like, let's do this one for sure, is decide on one word that you want to kind of manifest for 2021. And you write it down on multiple sheets of paper of your choosing, and you hide it around your house or your apartment or where you spend most of your time right now. So then, and try to like be like really, or even get someone else to hide it so you don't purposely go looking for them. So that way throughout the year, you'll just be one day writing a letter, you get out your stationery and there is that piece of paper with the word on it. So it's just like this reminder, and it's kind of like a gentle reminder. It's nothing that it's gonna be, if you don't want to be goal oriented, you just want to have like a nice manifestation. I think that's like really delicate and easy breezy.
What'd you say?
I was like, this is like my favorite one. I love this one.
Exactly. And I'm gonna have to really, really sit down and reflect about the word that I'm going to use, because when I do yoga, and I always do yoga videos like on YouTube, or on Tone It Up, and they're always saying, okay, think about that one word. And then they would give examples of words, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to use one of those examples because I can't ever think of a word that I want to manifest for my yoga session. So I'm really going to have to sit down and do some reflecting on the word that I want to use for the year. So like Gabby said, Gabby loves it. I love it too. I really want to do it. And I think Edwin and I are actually going to do it together. We're both going to, not the same word, but we're going to sit down together and
Yeah.
just reflect and think about, okay, what is the word that we want to use for this year? And as I was researching, trying to find ways how to reflect on that and how to find your word, um, oh, wait, just cut that part out. I'm not going to say that.
Okay. Everything?
Not everything, just the part about research.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just end that part. Let me just end this part. Okay. So yes, Edwin and I were going to sit down and we're going to really reflect and think about our word. And when I was researching about how am I going to find this word, that is one thing that they had mentioned was to sit down and reflect. And actually, I want to share this link with you guys. We will put it in our notes so that you can take a look at the link that I was researching about on ways to find your word if this is something that you want to do for your new.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh man, I'm getting kind of sad. We're like into like the last part. This is our last episode for the year. Well, not the year. Well, yeah, the year actually, literally. But well, we are now going to preguntas to yeah, ask questions. What it is. I don't know why I'm blanking. Okay, Darlene, you go before I make this any more awkward.
Gabby, mi pregunta es, what is one thing that you're looking forward into the new year? To keep it with the same theme of the new year.
Yes. The thing is, I read this literally right before we started and I haven't thought of an answer. But there's a lot to look forward to, which I feel grateful in just saying that. But something that I look forward to in the new year. 2021. One thing out of many things I look forward to. Ooh, it's kind of hard. It's so weird. Like when you get asked questions like this, it's like so many answers flutter through your mind and you're like, okay, just pick one. Don't like, I feel like all the other answers are going to get their feelings hurt. I mean, really, I hope in the new year I get to see some old friends. I've been really, like old friends, meaning I mean old friends here in Texas. I have old friends that I haven't seen here in Texas. I would like to see you. That would be really cool. I would like to see more people. Not that I like, see, now I'm overthinking the answer. I'm just going to say I'm looking forward to possibly traveling more and visiting old friends / really looking forward for you hopefully coming to Texas because that would be dope. Okay, that's my answer and that's sticking to it. I'm not turning this into a berry pizza situation. Okay, hence that was a joke from what was that? Was that the last? No, 2 podcasts ago. Oh my gosh. Okay, mi pregunta es, Darlene, what is your favorite 2020 memory?
So my question to you was a little hard. I think your question to me is also a little hard. There's so many things that like went on throughout this year, a lot of highs and lows. And currently I'm looking excuse me. Currently I'm looking at my photos from the year because it always helps me to remember like what I did. But before even looking at my photos, I think it's very simple, my memory. But it's a very special memory that I have in my heart that I thought of immediately when you asked me, and I think it was our anniversary that was in April. It was our 4th year anniversary on April 30th. And it was in the midst of his dad had just passed. And so we were still in this state of sadness and reflection on his life. But we made our anniversary very special. We were still in quarantine, like here at home. And so we ordered some hamburgers from this random small business, not like McDonald's or anything, but some real hamburgers. We ordered some hamburgers, and I had bought Edwin a cake like as a surprise that said happy anniversary. And we made a little picnic in our backyard, and it was still summertime here in Guatemala, so it was very nice weather. I got a dress on. We drank some wine and we sat out in our backyard in a little picnic. And Edwin decorated it very pretty and very nice, romantic. It was nice. That's probably my favorite memory from this year. Very simple, but very special, and it kind of encompasses 2020, like our 2020 anniversary.
Yeah.
That sounds funny, like our 2020th anniversary. No, but our 2020 4th anniversary here in our house in the backyard. So that's my favorite memory.
Wow. Very cute.
Okay. So going into the last part of our podcast, our intention for the week, and our intention for this week is just to be easy on yourself. Don't dwell on the negative. Release all that did not serve you, but also hold tight onto things that gifted you this year.
And just enjoy the last few days of 2020. There may have been more negative than positive that happened this year, but try to only be thankful for the positive aspects of the year. You'll see the change of attitude you will have if you look at life that way. Well, folks, just kidding. Guys, we love you. And yes, Darlene is laughing at me. Thank you guys for listening to our first season of The Cozy Corner. And we've hoped you enjoyed our conversations, laughs, tears, etc.
And we hope that you've gotten something out of what we said throughout this entire season. It's been really fun coming together each week and talking about things that we love. Season 2 will be coming in the new year, so be sure to send us any of your topic ideas or questions that you have for us. You can talk to us through our Instagram, the.cozycornerpod, or our email, thecozycornerpod@gmail.com.
Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on our new episodes every week. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review to let us know how we're doing.
Thank you so much for listening to The Cozy Corner. We're just two besties navigating life like the rest of y'all, and we're so excited that you joined us on this ... journey.
God bless, take care, and adios, amigos. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, y'all.